Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into a completely fascinating, almost mystical Himalayan ritual. We're talking trances, mountain deities, and all-night drumming. But more than that, we're going to uncover its highly unexpected journey from isolated village campfires all the way to high-tech urban stages. So think for a second about the traditions that really tie you to your hometown. Now imagine what happens to those traditions when you leave that town behind forever. We're heading over to the majestic Himalayan state of Uttarakhand, specifically regions like Kumaon and Garhwal. In these mountains, the divine isn't just some abstract concept looking down from the sky. It's intimately tethered to the physical landscape itself. Literally every village has its own local deity, or bhumia, protecting its borders. But the modern world is shifting fast, right? So we have to ask a pretty crazy question. How do you keep a mountain god awake when the entire village packs up and moves to the city?
Well, this whole dynamic is the core of what anthropologists call Pahadi Hinduism. In this specific belief system, families actually rely on these highly localized deities rather than the orthodox pan-Indian Sanskrit gods you might be more familiar with. And to interact with these local forces, they use a practice called jagar. The word itself comes from the Sanskrit root jaga, which literally means to wake. It is this intense all-night shamanic ritual where dormant local deities and ancestors are physically woken up. And why do they do this? To ask for critical favors, maybe seek a cure for mysterious illness, or even demand divine justice in a bitter family dispute. It's a really big deal.
Section 1. Inside the Jagar Ritual. Now, to understand the massive cultural transition happening with this practice today, we first need to break down how a traditional Jagar actually works. There's a very clear, strict division of spiritual labor required to summon a deity into a specific household. Basically, you've got three main participants. First up, the Jagari. He's the lead singer, kind of the master of ceremonies, who memorizes and sings these epic ballads to invoke the gods. Then there's the Dangarya, or the medium. The gods literally use this person's body to incarnate, speak, and perform a trance dance. And finally, you have the Sionkar. This is the host, the family who organized the whole Jagar at their home to seek divine intervention for their specific problem.
But here's the thing, the Jagariya doesn't work alone, not at all. He's flanked by musicians playing native percussion instruments called the dol and daman, and these provide the absolutely critical heartbeat driving the entire ceremony. This isn't just some background music to set a spooky mood either. It's a highly specialized, sacred tool that's scientifically and spiritually designed to build serious momentum over the course of the long night.
The ritual itself is a highly structured crescendo. It kicks off with the Sanchwali Geet, which is a slow, really methodical process of remembering all the gods. After that comes the Birdwee, where the Jagariya sings out the epic adventures of the specific deity they are calling. This builds incredibly tense energy until we hit the climax, the Asan. This is where the drumming becomes frantic, literally forcing the medium into a hypnotic, frenzied trance state where they might shiver, leap around, or even speak in the actual voice of the god. Finally, once the blessings are given and justice is served, we reach the Prasthan, and the gods are respectfully sent back to their heavenly abode.
Section 2. The Power of Sound.
So, you might be wondering, why music? Why not silent prayer or deep meditation? Well, because in this context, sound isn't just symbolic. It is believed to hold the actual physical and metaphysical power to bridge the human and spiritual realms. As anthropologist Andrew Alter points out, in a belief system where the natural and supernatural are just so tightly intertwined, sound is the literal vehicle for communication. It's basically the telephone line to the divine.
We can actually think of this as a sonic theology. Think about the feeling of a heavy bass drop at a live concert, you know? How it rattles your ribs and forces your body to react physically. The physical vibrations of the dole work exactly like that, but on a spiritual level. These tactile vibrations are thought to physically compel the gods into the medium and aggressively push away any inauspiciousness. Simply put, without the correct sound frequency and rhythm, the god just doesn't wake up.
Section 3. Migration and Ghost Villages.
However, this intensely hyper-localized ritual, which is so deeply tied to specific village lands and local acoustic environments, is facing a really severe modern crisis. Decades of rampant migration out of Uttarakhand down to urban centers like Delhi has left hundreds of villages completely deserted, threatening the very roots of the practice. Since the 1980s, the search for better jobs and infrastructure has just drained the mountains of its people. These abandoned areas are now famously known as ghost villages. And with the people gone, the diaspora now living in these concrete jungles faces deep nostalgia and a really intense sense of cultural bereavement.
This creates a really profound tension. I mean, how does a displaced community maintain its cultural soul when their gods are essentially tethered to the mountains? Traditionally, the strict belief is that gods and ancestors only appear in their specific ancestral locations. But the modern reality is starkly different. Migrants living in dense, bustling cities like Delhi desperately need to recreate this ritual to preserve their identity, cure their urban anxieties, and just reconnect with their roots. It's a massive clash between ancient geographic rules and modern human needs.
Section 4. Jagar in the Digital Age.
The answer to this tension? Radical adaptation. Artists like Pritam Bartwan, who is famously known as the Jagar Samrat or Jagar Emperor, are actually democratizing the ritual by recording modernized Jagar albums right in urban studios. There is a brilliant irony here, honestly. They're taking this epic, all-night spiritual trance, heavily editing it, and condensing it down into a punchy 4-minute YouTube track. By adding studio production, heavy reverb, and putting these out via music videos and streaming platforms, these artists are literally bringing the mountain gods directly to the smartphones of the urban diaspora.
And the physical setting of the ritual has completely transformed too. Instead of an intimate, quiet village fireside organized by a single family, the ritual now uses raised platforms, giant digital screens, and massive stadium amplification. It's become this huge public gathering in the metropolis where thousands of displaced migrants can come together, exchange shared experiences, and assert a unified, modern Uttarakhandi identity right in the middle of Delhi.
But it's not just nostalgia driving this huge shift. It's straight-up economics. State policies that heavily incentivize digital media and film shoots in Uttarakhand are inadvertently accelerating this commercialization of ancient oral traditions. For example, the Uttarakhand Film Policy 19 offers massive benefits to filmmakers. We're talking a 25 lakh rupee subsidy specifically for regional language films and an overall project subsidy of up to 1.5 crore rupees. This economic engine makes it highly lucrative to package and transform ancient localized folklore into mass-consumed digital media spectacles.
So, I leave you with this final thought for our explainer today. As the drums of the Jagar echo through YouTube algorithms instead of the high Himalayas, what exactly is gained and what is lost? Does mass media destroy the purity of a sacred ancient folklore, or does it simply give a dying tradition a new, enduring voice in the 21st century? Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope this leaves you looking at your own local traditions in a whole new light.